Hello, this is Xbox Ahoy, and this is the bonus footage of the Remington 870. Now, obviously we're in the heart of the festive period, and as a result my working week has been excoriated by a trip home to my parents, which is why the bonus footage wasn't here on Wednesday. So here I am, late on a Friday night, desperately trying to finish off the Type 25 video for, well, today I suppose, and I thought I'd get this out of the way first. Warm up my voice before I perform the voiceover, you know how it is. So there was no attachment guide this week, so this is purely Remington footage. I had to invest last weekend into actually preparing the Type 25 stuff, the graphics, the gameplay, that sort of thing, because I wouldn't have the time to do it otherwise. I'd hate to miss a Friday upload slot. But anyway, as per usual, let's get on with the questions. First, Coffee asks, "Hey Stu, since you like the Commodore Amiga, what were the games you enjoyed the most on the system? This was my very first game system, and it truly was a gem." Of course, I'm a sucker for talking about the Amiga. It was one of my first loves, after all. Odd to think that I first received my A500 Plus for Christmas, 21 years ago? It was the Cartoon Classics pack, and I remember the games it came with. It had Captain Planet, which was a pretty mediocre game, but it did have some merits. Bart versus the Space Mutants. That was alright. Bit difficult, though. Couldn't get past level 2. And Lemmings. Oh, my word, Lemmings was brilliant. I don't think my 9-year-old self progressed much past the fun levels, but I certainly did invest a lot of time playing that. So those are the games that started me off, but of course there were other games later on, and some of the highlights, let me think. The Secret of Monkey Island, that was my first Lucasfilm game, or LucasArts, as they would later be known. I remember going to Game in the Arndale, Manchester, and this would be about 92, 93, and this was at a time when video game shops were almost unheard of. There was certainly no dedicated game store in my hometown of Preston at the time anyway. Now, prior to games sort of becoming a thing, we had to buy our games from newsagents almost, like John Menzies. They used to sell Spectrum games, and W.S. Smith's, and Boots of all places. They had one of the best selections of Spectrum tapes. So, The Secret of Monkey Island for me was one of the first games that I bought from an actual shop that was devoted to my hobby. It was weird. Other games. I was always a fan of strategy games. I've played a lot of strategy games on the Amiga. Ones that come to mind. Populous 2, Trials of the Olympian Gods. Sunk a lot of time to that. A-Train was another favourite of mine, which was, I suppose, kind of a train-centric Sim City. Theme Park from 1994, that was a big one for me. I played an awful lot of time on that. I was also a fan of the pinball simulators. Pinball Dreams was something I spent a lot of time on. And it was also my introduction to the Civilization series. I remember getting Civilization AGA, must have been 93, 94. And although there's a bit of a learning curve to getting into that, I must have spent a lot of time playing it. Back in the pre-internet days, there was a lot of public domain titles that got floated around on cover discs, and you could also buy them from PD companies. They were basically the indie games of their day, although there wasn't that much of a distinction between commercial games and public domain games, really, other than the fact that commercial games were sold. Favourite PD games included one called Gravity Force 2, which is a brilliant sort of concept for a game. Basically, it's just spaceship deathmatch, which was pretty awesome. I think it supported up to 4 players via null modem, but more often than not, it would just be 2 players split screen. I was also a fan of a game called Deluxe Galaga, which was kind of, it was based on Galaga, but it had a few more features. You could buy weapons, upgrade your ship, that sort of thing. And I played an awful lot of that. I actually got really good at it. I could go on, but I shall cap it at that. Those are some of the most important games that I played. But there were many, many others. A whole bunch of cover discs. I was subscribed to Amiga format for most of its lifespan. And for me, the Amiga really represents pretty much the entire 1990s in computing. Anyway, I should do more Retro Ahoy episodes so I get to talk about these in more detail. But on with the next question. The one and only Doom says, "Whoa. When will you be covering the pistols?" A simple enough question with a simple enough answer. Next up is the Type 25, as you know. That'll be later today. After that, it will be the PDW 57. And then after that, I think I'm going to do the 57. The flexibility of the PIC-10 system, I think, actually makes pistol builds quite viable. So a pistol build could actually be quite interesting. So, yeah, that should work pretty well. After that, we're going to do all of the early unlocks first. So the stuff that's unlocked by default will follow as the QBB, DSR-50, SMOR, Sega 12, TAC 45, and the FHJ 18AA. Although I might delay the FHJ to somewhere in the middle of the season. I don't know. But I'm going to cover the majority of the first unlocked weapons, and then we're going to progress up the rank ladder. So yes, that means the AN-94 will probably be the terminal episode. I know, yes, you guys want to see the AN-94 soon because it's a good weapon, but don't worry, there's plenty of other good weapons on the way. Doing things in unlock order, it's good for a number of reasons. It means you don't get a glut of assault rifles or SMGs at the end. So everything should be reasonably varied all the way up until whenever I finish, which will be sometime, summertime, I guess. No, the AN-94 will not appear in 2014. I'll be done long before then, don't you worry, alright? Alfonso Navarro says, the puns haven't been all that great this time around, Stu. Hey, there's been some good ones. Well, leave them tarred and feathered, that's a good pun. What else is there? Mark, well, alright, the Mark one is a little weak. MP7, about as good as, you could get in the circumstances. It's a German gun, there's nothing. It's 2 letters and a number. The Dragunov SVU, that was a pretty solid one. Well, it was technically a reuse from the Elite Weapon Guide, but I don't think anybody watched those, so I'm in the clear. The Remington one, pump some action into your... Did you not get it, maybe? Maybe you didn't get it. Maybe that's it. Anyway, the puns are as good as they've ever been, which is to say that they are about as good as one could expect. Anyway, it's not about the pun. It's about the solid tips in the middle, the serious bit. That's the important bit. The puns are just a moment of levity to let you know the video's finished. Maybe I should crowdsource my puns. I should post on Twitter. And maybe that would help when it comes to writing stuff. I mean, the top 25, that was a tough one to do. I think I might have eventually settled on a rhyming pun, which is... If my pun rhymes, you know I had a tough time writing it. Crow15 Emsin says, Stu, I must ask, as a Scotsman, I'm all for a gradual Scottish independence. What is your opinion of it as a Northerner? Well, I like the idea of decentralising the power in the United Kingdom away from London. Obviously, I'd like to see, maybe the north of England have a little bit more independence, maybe more power given to the council level. So I'm happy to see Scotland have its own parliament. However, I would be a little bit sad to see it leave the UK entirely. It throws up a few sort of issues with the EU. For instance, if Scotland were to become an EU member, they would have to adopt the euro. Which would, it's bad enough getting Scottish notes, never mind Scottish euros. So Scotland as an independent state within the EU would have to have so many exceptions for stuff like border control and the currency if they decide to stick with the pound, that I don't know. It seems like maybe that isn't the right solution. I think the right solution is to see better, more decentralised systems of government within the UK. But I guess time will tell, eh? Dioxides says, Stu, did you see The Hobbit? Not yet. I would like to, but I haven't had a chance yet. The girlfriend's already seen it, but I think I'll make her watch it again in the new year. Leme Rook says, Stu, are you a gun fanatic in real life? Well, I'm hesitant to describe myself as a fanatic of anything, really. I mean, I have an interest in firearms, but I'm not really I'm not really a fanatic. A Burger Vice says, how do you feel about certain weapons having inaccurate names, such as the Chicom being the JS9mm and the SMR being the SAR-21? Does it make it harder to research the weapons? Well, the Type 25 is the first fictional weapon I'll be covering, but it's not too different really at all. It's just the Type 95. So in a way, the fictional weapons are easier to write for because you can make stuff up almost. You can just talk about conjecture like when it was likely to be introduced, who makes it, that sort of thing, and talk about any sort of weapons it might be based on. So in practical terms, doesn't really make a difference. Alright, next up, a generic YouTube commenter says, Stu, have you heard of insert country name here? If so, what do you think about it? Why, of course I've heard of insert country name here. With their beautiful beaches and wonderful mountain ranges, it would be difficult for me to not have heard of insert country name here. And of course, the beer in insert country name here is absolutely fantastic. I drink it all the time. In fact, I can safely say that insert country name here is definitely on my prime list of places to visit in 2013. There we go, that should cover all of them. Alright, Harv72B says, David Vonderhaar just won the lottery and quit his day job. And in a stunning show of intelligence, Treyarch has named you their new director of MP development. You have carte blanche to make any changes or improvements you wish. What would you change or fix in Black Ops 2? First step, I'd probably give the SMGs more recoil. I'd keep their damage the same. You don't want to mess with damage too much. But no, you definitely want to sort of make them run away a bit under fully automatic fire at a distance. Step 2, I would probably reduce default player health. Basically give everyone stopping power for free. This probably isn't for everyone's taste, but I prefer the Modern Warfare level damage, and some of the guns feel a little bit nerfy to me. I don't like the 4-shot kill in the Type 25. It's so many bullets. Make it a 3-shot kill and make the high damage ones a 2-shot kill, and then we're talking business. You know, we're talking like Modern Warfare 2 level stuff. Yeah, I know I could play hardcore, but I don't like hardcore, alright? Instead of like 30 player health, which is hardcore, maybe make it 75. Something like that. Oh, and finally, I would fire the person responsible for skill-based matchmaking and make it so that I get matched up with the worst players all the time. That would be nice. The Christie says movement only 95%. The ready weapon chart says shotguns are 100%. And from my use of them, I'd be inclined to agree. Yes, I made a mistake, alright. Mistakes happen, it's unfortunate, and I don't like making mistakes, but, well, they do happen, and once the video's out there, I mean, there's not really much I can do. I could take the video down and then re-upload it, but that would be a little drastic for what is essentially a fairly minor error. I've been thinking about this, about, what do you do when you make a mistake? What's the best approach to correcting yourself? How do you inform an audience of 100,000 people that you messed up, basically, and this is actually right and that was wrong? I could take down the video and re-upload it, but I don't know. That would sort of foul my view counts, and if I kept on doing it, I'd be accused of being a money whore or something. I think most of the mistakes are relatively minor, like nobody really cares if one figure I gave was 20 milliseconds out. It's like, oh, okay, fine, doesn't really make any practical difference. Anyway, I think I've decided on a policy regarding mistakes. I am going to publish an errata, a video, just like a one-off. I'm probably going to do maybe one every 10 episodes or so. And it will be basically a compendium of fudge-ups for those pedantic enough to care about the minor mistakes. Oh, but they're not minor, Stu. They're pretty minor for the most part. So yeah, I think I could actually make an errata quite an entertaining video, because I can apportion blame. In the case of the Remington movement speed, that was entirely my fault, of course. Obviously, I don't recreate every single slide from scratch. I take previous slides that I've done, and I must have forgotten to update that particular bit. I don't know, maybe I was tired, maybe that was it. But mistakes happen, and on a relatively small scale, to be honest. I mean, think about how many written words you've seen in my videos and the slides, and think about how many are actually misspelled. Think about how many statistics I reel off, and think about how many of those are, well, mostly correct. 100% accuracy is impossible, and 99% accuracy is good enough, but that does mean if you're reeling off 100 factoids in a single video, every so often, they're going to be wrong. It happens, and I'm planning to address it at some point. Frank Sinatra's Pants says, "Hey Stu, lol, Stu, not Stu. One quick question, PC or console lol lol lol?" Well, the clear answer is both. I mean, one thing I've learned in all my 30 years is that the best thing to do is to go where the games are. It doesn't matter if you're playing on Xbox or on PS3 or on PC or on the Wii or on the Wii U or on the Nintendo DS. It doesn't matter. If you're having fun, then everything's gravy. I don't know, it's like people assume that I'm an Xbox fanboy because I've got Xbox in my YouTube name. And I like my Xbox, I do. It's a nice little thing. It plays games and isn't afraid of anything. But I've been a PC gamer for far longer, and I still am a PC gamer. Well, why did you get an Xbox then, Stu? Well, I got an Xbox for Gears of War. I wanted to play Gears of War. And at the time, it wasn't available for PC, so I bought an Xbox 360, and I played Gears of War, and it was fun. All right? I also played Project Gotham Racing, which you can't get on PC or any other platform, in fact, and it was fun. There's been a whole bunch of console exclusives that I've played on, not just the Xbox either. I've got a PS3, and I've played a few of the exclusives on there, like Journey recently. And yeah, like I say, go where the games are, because that's the most important thing. And never mind your console lol elitist bull stuff. Blue Broadcast Gaming says, "Stu, would you consider giving us tutorials for your emblems?" Maybe, I suppose, I could. I mean, I don't know, it's a question of time, really. I think for the most part my emblems are just going to be simple sprites, which is just a whole bunch of rectangles. It's a little bit fiddly, but simple enough to do even without a guide. Jeremy V1 says, "Stu, was this video made before or after the update?" An important question, and everything you see was actually post-patch, so this is with the reduced one-hit kill range. I should maybe mention the patch in the script, but given that it was made after the patch and, well, everybody watching the video will be dealing with a post-patch shotgun, I figured, might as well just leave it as it is, because it was a relatively minor change in the patch. I think you lose a couple of feet of performance, really. Not the end of the world, it just means you are slightly less effective overall. Mr. Shooter115 says, "Hey Stu, what's your opinion on the iron sight attachment on the ballista?" I actually haven't unlocked it yet. I haven't used the ballista much. I've been focusing on the first two snipers. The SVU I've now gilded, and I'm working on the DSR-50, I suppose, next. But I have played a little bit of gun game, and the ballista with iron sights is in the progression there, so yeah, I mean, I've used it, and, well, it's interesting. I don't know, I'm not particularly well practiced with it yet, but it reminds me of the World at War unscoped bolt actions, which is cool. I think for the ballista weapon guide, I might actually go for a build centered around the iron sights. Just because, well, it's interesting, isn't it? I'll probably go for like an aggressive, unscoped build. But we'll see, we'll see. I mean, I might use it. It might actually be terrible compared to the scoped ballista. So I don't know. We'll see. A Hibbiker says, "Stu, what do your parents think of your job? And any chance you'll ever upload in 1080p? For the 1080p, maybe one day. Well, when I'm recording the Xbox or whatever platform I'm playing on in 1080p, I will. For the time being, though, my source footage is only 720p anyway, so I don't really see too much of an incentive to upscale. It cuts back on upload time and render time, and editing is a bit more fluid in 720p, so I prefer it like that for now. But maybe on my next PC, if I have the grunt to, casually do 1080p like it's nothing, then yeah, I'll switch up then. As for what my parents think, I guess they don't disapprove. I think they're pretty happy that I'm doing something that I actually, I like to do and that I'm self-directed. AdamG323 says, "Hey Stu, wouldn't you agree? And give your enemy a good pump is a better punchline." No. Joe Shadow 117 says, "Stu, what are your opinions on the shotguns throughout the COD series?" I don't have any experience with them prior to COD 4, so we'll start with that one. COD 4, they were underpowered and, well, kind of limited in usage, and they were primaries. World at War, kind of the same, in fact, even more egregiously underpowered. Modern Warfare 2 kind of turned that on its head a little bit, didn't it? With they became secondary weapons, and they became almost as good as primary weapons, which was almost perverse, but they were fun. In fact, the 1887 was the only weapon to ever be nerfed in Modern Warfare 2. That's how overpowered it was. Black Ops, they were underpowered in Black Ops, but shotguns they do need to be underpowered. I mean, I'd still say that the Remington pre-patch was an underpowered weapon compared to some of the SMGs. The SMGs are easier to use, and you can hit somebody at middle range with them. Shotguns, if you're engaging someone at a middle range, you can't hit them. But people don't cry over the Remington in Black Ops 2. They think it's the most overpowered weapon in the entire world. Not really, no. I mean, sure, it'll kill you in one shot, and sure, it'll feel unfair, but, I mean, as far as overall weapon balance is concerned, no, I think the shotguns have to be underpowered, otherwise people would just complain too much. MW3, some of them were okay, some of them were less good. I mean, the Striker was everyone's favourite. I liked the USAS in MW3. I didn't really like the fact that you had to use damage, and I didn't really like the fact that extended mag had a major glitch on that. I don't know how that got through. Talking of mistakes. Dennis Kennedy asks, "Stuart, what happened to the Time to Kill series?" It's still there. You can still watch it. You mean what happened to the format? No current plans to produce any, but it may return. Busy with the weapon guides for now. 79 asks, "What are your thoughts about the I Fly Illini drama, Stu?" Well, it looks like we've run out of time. This is the last couple of clips. Thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you later today for the Type 25 video. So, until then, farewell.